Hi, this is 7 Aurora Avenue North, Seattle, Washington, 9133. There have been quite a lot of head strikes, and believe me, you don't want to know what it's for. Oh, by the way, I don't mess around with a smoke detector that probably contains the illegal video camera. The illegal camera. And there's somewhere else too. I provided like a spy app, and it's actually registered high readings around the smoke detector. Smoke detector is a common area to put a pinhole camera. My Wi-Fi that they're accessing, internet broadcasting. The rapists here are still playing husband. Now you say, why isn't there anything in your apartment? Well, they put glass over everything. I have to change this. I have to have plastic to stick. And you say, well, there's a little problem when that prostitute tried to prostitute me. Her name is reddish brown haired. By the way, there's a zombie on Aurora 1158. And by the way, I have quite the head injury. Quite the head injury, quite the chakra injuries, a lot of head injury. And what is this? An evil that the zombies have, and hatred, people stupid that are superior to them, that didn't take the fall with Satan, or maybe they're dragged down or whatever, or even just an enemy that they're jealous of that did take the fall of Satan, but also they don't have, it's kind of like their brain is constantly scanning for a brain component. Brain components lead me to discuss some of these odd methods I have heard. And some of the technology was gained by evil aliens collaborating with the US. One of the noises I've heard, it almost sounds like plastic or metal swiveling into place and being clicked on someone's head. It is a puzzle piece for them, or like a component. By the way, there's a spirit running around here, a couple of them. There's a sea monster, and it might sound ridiculous, but they have used, a lot of spirits have used this as another way to access dimensions, and there's a closet as well. There's a human zombie on the road, and a chest blowout. So the idea by the bums was to break me down so that they could have all these components, live happily ever after, and even resurrect themselves as fake Jesus, fake God. Oh, they're going to be princesses in, history, etc. It's not going to happen for them. I'm going to see to it. And let's see, so there was a guy in a car bum. Lots of head gone, lots of head. Now, I'm not a zombie, and by the way, I wouldn't be able to sit in a wall like these idiots and rape people and torture them and eat them like they do, excuse me. It has no appeal to eat people from history thinking, I'm a big deal now. Like that, the men and women or even the children, they are teens. They think they're a big deal after eating Mozart and then pooping him, excuse my language, he's their slave and he's sub to them. There's this big subordinate theme going on. Oh, by the way, zombie in airplane. And I am going to get some kind of better way to broadcast. I provide. I'm not asking for money, so don't think that. I will probably, even if I get just sit here, have a capability of broadcasting. I'll get internet, and there you go, coming in or broadcasted, and then I'll tell the maintenance men just stay away from the camera if you don't want to be broadcast, and you're not probably going to work around the front door much anyway. And ahead of time, just be warned. And bums are saying that, like, there's bums on the mic arguing. By the way, the mic was left open so they could torment me. And you shouldn't actually hear anybody on the mic. All the sound is coming from the mic. Here's the, whoops, I'm taking a picture of my hand. This is the microphone. You can see I've ruined the wall a little bit there. I was trying to cover up the mic because I didn't want to hear anyone, and I didn't want them hearing me. And so the wall is soft, so I put like a tack there, and it would just like look like a corkboard after a while. And then I have to keep taking the tack out if I want to call, oh yeah, there's a drum in the hole or something. So anyway, I was talking about abductions. The network was actually down. I was talking about how these things threaten me with abduction all the time. Like they thought I'd go along with being kidnapped and taken to a low-income house or someone. No, that's called the third floor window, or the whatever floor window it is. And maybe there's a flood. Maybe there's a flood in the kitchen. Maybe Home Alone 3 starts all over again wherever I'm at. You know. These bums here thought they'd be forcing acts of prostitution on like that ugly old man that's out there, or take care of the dirty bastards. And will I? No. I'll get them the help they need by calling 911 on them, and then whether they should go off to the mental hospital or prison. And just because they're old men in wheelchairs doesn't mean they're in on rapes. You want to know I've nicknamed the two out there, and the wheelchair I've called Alcatraz, and that was a accent. And then the other one is a bald, short, and he has baldness. He's short, but for some reason he reminded me of a bookie in an old-fashioned movie. So I refer to him as a bookie, and I don't have contact with him except in the elevator, like coming and going. But I privately refer to them as Alcatraz and Bookie. So if you wonder why I'm ugly, well, I cut my hair also after they scratched me up. And remember, they scratch me up on a daily basis. They've even followed me to where I volunteer as quite a nice volunteer, by the way. Seeds Lost. Paradise Lost was brilliant, by the way, and I haven't even read the whole thing. But it talks about how everything was perverted, and even like adorable has been perverted here. So let's say somebody's playing adorable about someone in the spirit world, and maybe they gave my chakras to them, and they tortured them to begin with, and then, then they made them adorable, and that creature's so happy because it's adorable. But how did that being get adorable? Well, it's adorable only because the person who had it wanted to exploit it for some reason. Perhaps to spy on you. And some of the most inhuman beings I've ever met, I have to give them a little credit. Not all were that bad, but they were fairies. And this was after the fall of Satan. And some of them were very satanic, and some of them took the fall of Satan. One should have been careful of fairies. We shouldn't have been fed a bunch of pap about, not pap, that's not the right word, that's improper. That was an old term that was very insulting toward Catholics. And I mean pap as in, I don't mean it like, pap, like papist. I mean like, a baby food, where it's more palatable. So there. So anyway, I'm not here to insult religions, except Satanism. Now, and I like Catholic components, by the way. But I love the rosary, and I love the saints, and I love the prayers. So anyway, and I love the language of Latin. I love the songs. Okay, so there. But anyway, pap, as we're fed a certain amount of BS, including people who write books and they've researched, and then I can turn around and find their research easily where I find where they got it. Well, what some people neglected to say is that fairies were the product of fallen angels. So I can remember a wonderful Shakespeare teacher at Seattle University, quite a few years ago. And he talked about some of these stories about fairies, including involvement with, like in Shakespearean and other classics. He had this tone of, like, let's not really go there. You don't even want to breach this area. You want to leave this alone. He was absolutely correct. And guess what? Guess what I believe? I absolutely believe, since we're going into conspiracy theory after conspiracy theory, I believe that Shakespeare absolutely had adventures with the fairies. Why? Because I can feel as when I've had misadventures with the fairies. Because remember, after the fall of Satan, what they did, they marked me as Satan. They had everyone come after me and their brother, playing you owe, and we're going to hurt you, and blah, blah, blah. And the fairies can be they are inhuman. So it's sort of redundant to say inhuman, because they are inhuman. And legend is that they are descendants of the fallen angels. Now, some of the fallen angels have been presented as some of the major archangels that one would then pray to. And there is a researcher, alleged researcher, who writes books about magic. Some of them are for teens, and some are for adults. Some seem to have a strong Wiccan theme. But she has written books about angels. But what she neglected, I think there was one reference to Ariel being fallen, but she seemed to merge Ariel and Uriel together. Which, there's this, then what about, who is Uriel, who is Ariel? Now, most discouraging of all, when there was a second fall, and I'm talking about second, there was a fall with Satan, obviously. Satan, he was Lucifer, he was one of the most beautiful angels, and he fell. And then there was a fall 13 years ago. So, allegedly, a lot of the good angels fell with Satan again, and they were dragged down, and I believe I've had contact with Archangel Michael and Uriel, possibly Ariel, and he was already fallen, and he is quite well established as a satanic angel, an angel of Satan. He is no good. And he is cold and inhuman and sheer evil. Well, now here's where it gets confusing. Not every earth spirit was a fairy. Not every small being that the U.S. people have had are absolute fairies. Some of them were abducted spirits, including some fairies were rather adroit at stealing human offspring. Well, how did they do this? They stole their souls. Dead babies, dead children, maybe someone they regressed. They joined with Satan, by the way, like I said, 13 years ago for the most part, but some were absolutely taken. But some of the little folk weren't evil. They were just neutral, and some of them were quite nice cultures from beyond the stars, or just neutral cultures. One, I let sleep on my blanket. It didn't bother me except for this one aspect. they absolutely gave off these hideous tweeting sounds. I didn't mind their conversation. I didn't mind it, but it's like I couldn't shut my brain off. It's like, couldn't really see them, but I could feel them. But they were rather inhuman, because then if you moved or something, like they'd hate you and they'd curse you. But I didn't mind them. See, I was very tolerant. But these spirits had already been ruined by people. So I can't say it was that culture that did that. And the horror is playing Getting Them Back. So that's always the theme by the bums, getting them back. Just like Lucifer has wanted to be beautiful and beloved by God again at all costs. Well, the bums in the wall, I hung up by accident, fiddling around with my phone. But keep one thing in mind. Now, I've had my golden soul stolen by these idiots, and my chakras and my spirit. And they're playing gave them to women, blah, blah, blah. So you've got a prostitute in the wall. She looks 50 from her heroin lifestyle. And she's absolutely trying to set your fate. And this is fairly typical of the monsters in the U.S., the zombies. Whether it's the prostitute masturbating in the wall when she threatens to, torture you and kidnap you, or servicing, somebody in the wall, or whether it's the person with the $800,000 house. The U.S. never should have had contact with any of the spirits. They are beyond megalomaniac monsters. They're evil, and they ruined everything. And you say, well, sea monsters. Well, the thing is, some of them are not even real sea monsters. Some of them might be, oh, well, we had your chakra where we turned horses into sea monsters after torturing them, kind of thing. And you say, well, your chakras might be evil. Oh, they try to play that one. No, it's just like in the hands of something. Like you have bums here. They've illegally broadcasted me. Now, that's evil. But then across town, you have a camera protecting a bank. So you've got this camera, it's protecting the bank, and it's fine. But in the hands of whores and bums, it's an evil object. And the chakras are mine. They're not these bums. They're not anyone's in the U.S. And one thing they've done, probably all of them that could have pretended to be me. So they'd have this open channel of intent. But what you want to achieve with this, because they've also put all the curses on me. They've all played Lisa. Put all the curses on they whom have played Lisa, me. Because if they're going to play me, they'll get all the curses on them as well. And they've done horrendous things in the spirit world and pretended it was me. They've done horrendous things to people visible across the world and pretended it was me. They've even torn them out of their bodies. And by the way, I heard that somebody in Russia was listening to me, and yes, Russians are among my favorites. And you always have been. And by the way, my attitude about the horrendous destruction of the spirit world and these planets that these bums have done, my attitude is, you don't even know, because the sea monster might never have crossed my path, the real sea monster, or even the fake one, but we could have been friends, you just don't know. Just like the guy halfway around the world or in another planet, on another planet, he might have been my friend. The odd plant that shoots acid at you might have been my friend. I met one who had quite an intelligence. And I don't think that intelligence was someone loading intelligence. There was another one they did here. It wasn't very funny, and it mates with people. And I think that was so perverted that was one of the retards. I think it was. And it was somebody who sounded witty enough, but she would try to attack you sexually. But the acid shooting plant, she was quite pretty, quite a, oh, what would I say, feathery looking. I just would get impressions of her, sort of silvery plant life, quite pretty and really witty. Really, she and I could have been friends. I just wouldn't have wanted to be, you know, shot by acid. But see, the thing is, I wouldn't have been traipsing around her and pulling her out of her universe. I wouldn't have been sullying her. And if I had gone into another universe, I wouldn't have been pulling her roots or abusing her. I would have been, maybe if I heard her communicate, I'd say, wow, how are you? I had more of a Star Trek attitude toward everything than a lot of these people. But once they're sullied by the U.S. and they come at you and come after you, and they're mindless zombies like the excrement in the U.S., then there's really no hope. And the best thing for us, including me, is to burn out like a giant star. And the sea monsters swimming in, somebody just spying me, it was a monster behind me. The sea monsters, oh, and by the way, if you want to feel some of the pain I felt this morning, and you want to see if I'm lying, and you want to see what did it, if you'd like to feel it, I'll let you. And if you'd like to see me, and would you like to see what the wounds look like? You may. They just took chest, and they played, some may reject you. So this leads me to another thing that the zombies do. They make decrees, and they try to activate. Once again, I'll talk about that. And so you had mental patients 20 years ago. Most of them weren't contacted by Satan. Well, some of them were. And, you know, if you heard them muttering and gibbering to themselves and slavering on themselves, and there was a prostitute out in the park and she was, you know, doing things, you know, as long as she left you alone, it was okay. But these days, the dirty prostitutes and the other freaks have the ESP, including the rapists, which some of the worst prostitutes I know are actually prostitutes. So worse rapists are prostitutes because they absolutely want to defile everyone, as defiled as they are. They want to make them defiled. A lot of them are child molesters, it seems. Or connecting with child molestation, which I still call that child molester. They just blew out uterine, and there was a car also, uterine and left hall, and another car. So they're doing like what I call a drive-by where they pick up. So they're trying to pick up, and there's a moron playing monitor. Now, by the way, if you'd like to feel the worst pain I've ever felt from the sea monsters or anyone else attacking me, you may. I'll show it to you. And I don't know. Usually I pray or fight, you know. Would you like to feel some of the belly or uterine pain? Maybe the worst belly pain I've ever felt. Sometimes I respond quite differently. I burp, and then I get very hungry after some of the attacks. I think it's best for my body to be programmed not to dwell on the pain. I have fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue anyway, so I think it's good for me not to dwell on it, but to simply get up in a strong manner and then say, well, gosh, I'm hungry, after praying and fighting. I just don't want to dwell on it. And I'm not a painkiller person. You know, I've taken painkiller in my life, but I could have had painkiller 20 times over, and they just took back, but I'm not interested. I'm one of those people who can let painkiller sit in the cupboard for 3 years and then they throw it away. I'm just not interested. By the way, one of the plots here that the bum sent, they evidently, maybe they have a dirty doctor, I don't know. But they, which, you know, it figures in the U.S., one of the whores in the walls, it might have been Stephanie herself, she thinks she's like a gangster's mall. you know, or she thinks she's a gangster that's gonna run things. Just playing, you're gonna bleed, and she just made a threat, and they just took some. When I entered the kitchen, there have been a lot of attacks. And now, what was I gonna say? So one of the prostitutes, and I believe it was Stephanie, she said, you're going to go on painkillers. You're gonna go get painkillers. It was Stephanie. And then she thought she'd get the 50 or so painkillers. Believe me, I could be one of those people that get that many because I'm trustworthy with them, but I don't want them. I wouldn't even take them. Now, I did hurt my back, and I ended up going to the chiropractor, but I ended up taking some painkillers and some muscle relaxant. But for the most part, if I am in pain, I like taking acetaminophen, and you can hear the male on the wall arguing with me. Oh, and they've just taken head out of me. And the way they take head sometimes, or they take from the chakras, what they're doing is building people. And there was an EN field. And then the whore in the wall is playing ET. Back. Now, so they just took people and they're playing money order for them. So there's somebody on the mic, he's playing money order for them. Mike, money order for them. And he's talking to somebody in a vehicle. And one bum played might be my vehicle. So there's a transaction. I'm going to end all that. It's my stuff. And they think, oh, well, we'll run time back and forth. We'll have it what seems like 5 minutes. It'll be 10 years. We'll go back in history, screw up things, get rich. Here we are, live like kings, blah, blah, blah. Nope, done. You're all fecal. And you're not going to stop me from eating, drinking, going in the kitchen. If I want to eat 10 cookies, 5 cookies. If I want to eat yogurt all day with chocolate on it, it's none of your business. If I want to, have chicken noodle soup and have green beans, none of your business. See, they wanted to, they just find me. They're playing jungle. If anyone is doubting me, would you like to feel the pain of the spining, as they call it too? They're playing otherwise pooped. Blah, 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 blah. That's my answer to what you're saying. I have no respect for you. Oh, and they were playing dumping in Agent Orange. So, they're saying they're dumping in Agent Orange. So remember, these bums think they could alternately poison me and then have beings made of me. And they've also played hazmat and keeping you at home so we can starve you in your apartment and film it and pretend we're brilliant researchers. They're not. They're dirty drug addicts. You don't know how many people, even psychotic zombies, that have been fooled into thinking it's government when it's a psychotic zombie. So keep your kids away from Stephanie and the rest of the people in this building, by the way. I'm going to do some chores, and you're not going to stop me. I'll just write down at the end, attacks from 350 to, blah, 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 blah. They stripped the soul out of my back. There's a lot. And I'm playing carefully obey history. And so it's a dirty bum trying to set what history is with a McDonald's sort of mentality. And it's back huge. And it was quite painful. If anyone would like to feel it, I'll let you. In fact, you just did it to the whole U.S. In fact, you got some of them out. Every time you try to get me out, you're getting the zombies out. And this is backdated. And there's a bum in the plane bum. Plane 1232. You even got yourselves out. Backdated. When I wash dishes, by the way, I have to go through quite a process. And can't just wash them. I have to boil them up in water that I brought in. They've even bragged about, now if you clean up the sound, you'll be able to hear how the idiot bragged about Agent Orange, as they call it. Which I don't know if it's actual Agent Orange. It could be something they've used in meth. It could be something they've used. Now, I'll tell you, that's why some of the American meth heads look so terrible. It's not just meth. It's because they fooled around with the chemicals. They've made it, and they've also not only made it, they've walked around with other chemicals. And they've walked around with radiation, radioactive material. So Stephanie's talking about Agent Orange. They think it's real Agent Orange. And one thing they'll play hazmat over or quarantine. They love to carry around diseases, whether it's as simple as putting phlegm in your water or your food or licking something you're going to eat off of, like your silverware, or as complex as getting something from an unscrupulous person who works in the lab or at a nursing home. There's things in the nursing home like MRSA. There are people out in the community with MRSA. And that's quite easy for these bums to walk around with a swab from the inside of someone's wound or whatever. So if anyone's ending up poisoned with Agent Orange, Stephanie, if you clean up the sound, was bragging about Agent Orange. And not only have they poisoned me, it's a common gang technique. If someone is angering them, they'll poison their water. It'll be mysterious, and they'll get the manager in on it. Person dies of natural causes, look terrible. Where's all these symptoms? Symptoms might show up 10 years later, they've got cancer. Maybe they died a few months, you just don't know. And a lot of the attacks, I couldn't figure out what a lot of the attacks were. Because the Americans were masking themselves by playing different groups and chanting and having spirits chant the same things over and over, such as everybody in the world, every universe. There's another zombie, and he's talking to the zombie in the wall, and he's in a car, 1236 car. And having quite a few chest and back pain from the spining. They're playing acid again. And the horse playing blah 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 car. And the horse playing blind car. So she thinks she's setting fate. We're going to stop her. We're going to stop everybody in America. You're going to curse them. They're not going to set our fate. I'm tired of it. Just going to stop it too. Curse them. Report them. When you hear them also making terroristic threats, you can report them to the FBI. You can report them to the police. I think a terroristic threat of Agent Orange. You can report to the Seattle FBI. They keep spying me, and I'm trying to clear out some dishes, and I didn't want to contend with the freaks in the building to wash clothing, and I need pants for tomorrow, so they're spying me and doing various attacks. And we're going to show every one of them that are doing it. We're going to show you that whore in the wall calling herself police or whatever agency. taken emails, by the way. What they're also referring to is emails that were emails of invisible. They brag they're taking visible emails. They've set up accounts where they've recorded me on video and pretended that it was me on video talking to the world, including to have ugly black men threaten me with rape, and then they play, oh look, she's a Nazi, she's getting angry, and it's her boyfriend. She's a Nazi, it's her boyfriend. She's a Nazi, it's her husband. Never was my boyfriend, never will be. Not my husband either. Chest attack by bone. I cooked fish, and I had actually washed the pans by hand, and they smell like fish. I don't want to smell like Stephanie, to be quite rude. But it's not as strongly smelling as Stephanie, so that's good. So I think it's going to wash out. Whereas Stephanie's stench, she doesn't wash out. Remember, she services men with AIDS and HIV, and she thinks she's going to, rape me into submission too by having me service the HIV and AIDS or anyone. She's a definite rapist. She's also a child molester. And they just took Spirit. She thinks it's going to make her prettier. She's still the ugly heroin whore. You look like an old lady. You always will look old. Got about 2 years of life left in her. It's like the old dead horse show on Saturday Night Live here. You've got them here. It's the old dead horse show. And the black ugly male outside has just taken. Just that Satan gave the things of the U.S. power. And do I mean just black? So one of them seems to be making a decree. There's a creep I just heard, and I didn't resume the broadcast correctly. I was, dinking around with the phone. And then someone else is going, blah, blah, blah. You sound like a blah, 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 you. Blah, blah, blah. You in what army, bitch? You're only brave when it's someone in a wheelchair or someone who's a Girl Scout, bitch. Blah, 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 you. We're gonna blah, 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 blah. Just picture movies like Blair Thumbs. You've got some of these people. Picture, it's a parody. But then picture like The Last Man in the World. There's some other good zombie movies. It'll indicate what they actually are. Add gang member and you've got it. You've got what they are. It's hard for me to write when my hands are wet, by the way. Blah, 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 you. By the way, there's a zombie in a car. We're going to blah, 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 you. And then there's a car. And there's a bum chanting police. Oh, blah, blah, blah. Blah, 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 blah. Zombie. Blah, 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 zombie. Blah, blah, blah. You got another one chanting married you. Blah, 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 zombie. Blah, 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 blah. That's all it is. And so really, if another planet heard them, I pray to God they just were all gone. All the zombie plants, all the zombie animals, gone. And if I'm gone too, well, it's worth it. Thank you. It might save others, so it's good. It would be to save others. Back blowout, quite a few. Blah, blah, blah. They're putting seatbelts. What does that mean? They're trying to get protection. Now, let's see. Blah, blah, blah. Blah, blah, blah. You got any other one in the bathroom wall? Blah, blah, blah. Where's the torch? Blah, blah, blah. And believe me, they look like the ragged zombies in the movie, a lot of them. Blah. And they sound like them. Thick sounding. Some of them sound like that inside too. There's 19 to 20 personality types. Some of the males sound like retarded monkeys, and it's not a racist slur. It's actually all colors of them. Sometimes they'll sound like a cartoon bear. And by the way, in history and also supposedly, what happened after the fall of Satan, some of the people were assembled not just from dead body parts, they were assembled from pieces of animals. And so were spirits in the spirit world. Like if you can picture sick bastards that killed gorillas and tortured them first, and then made people out of, and then someone's chanting Europe. They made people allegedly out of white horses, talking about the spirit world, but also some of it's, of course, in the visible world. So that's not Europe. Somebody's chanting about Europe. What has been the agenda? Where people wanted to put their own impression on what has already happened and what has already lived and who is living now. They all wanted to play God. Can you picture 132 million bastards, moronic, evil bastards playing God? That's what you have here. You have 132 million blah, blah, blah. Even if they're, like a designer or someone else, they steal brain. They steal it. They steal the ideas. Someone's talking about arms. They have the human body fetish. They think they're going to cut off my arms and rule the world. So on a physical level, they wanted to eat me and take me apart. At 10507 Aurora Avenue, Northside, Washington, 98133. It's not just them. Also, met up with people like across the streets, maybe not actually meeting them, but people who were out and about, and they would tell me things like, "You're going to give me a gallon. You're going to do this." The thing in the wall is going blah blah blah. So that's all it boils down to. Shut the channel down, and it's blah blah blah. Help the Americans that want to get rid of this crap, if there's any left. Help the police and the soldiers commit and arrest these bastards. It's going to get to martial law. I predict they're going to have to cordon off whole cities. And one of the bums is saying, "We are." He's acting like he's in charge, like he's not one of the 6 psychotic zombies. And he's pretending that I'm in like cahoots with him. He's one of the 6 psychotic zombies that needs to be put away. There is no consultation with zombies. They're zombie bums. That's why I'm broadcasting. Otherwise, I'd be with these bums, telling them directly. And remember, I'm not a gang member. And if Armageddon comes tomorrow and I wake up and everyone's like slumped over their wheel or slumped over everywhere, my main concern is, how am I going to get to fresh water that doesn't stink of dead bodies? How am I going to get to like protein powder or whatever? Or, like, how far will I have to march? Where am I going to be able to, sleep somewhere and have a blanket and make sure it doesn't reek of bodies. I guess, and my main concern is too, like, do I go east, south, north, or west? And then I've decided which way to go, actually. It's the longest way, but I'm going to take it. Because if I head north, it heads up to the mountains, it gets colder. I'm screwed, there's no grocery stores. I could head south, and there you go, there's the deadly deserts. If I walk for 3 years, I can go east. There's a bum, he just took belly, and he's playing my ticket, my this. It's always my this, my that. You're done. So the zombie apocalypse vision, they think also that they could kill everyone and then just have them as slaves that are spirit, eat them, or have farms of people that they would eat, but they'd also, anything they needed, they would make out of our blood and guts. That's one of the satanic visions of their, what they would call their utopia. And they wouldn't mind. And they wouldn't mind keeping people as slaves that were eaten over and over. They're playing doll. The bomb in the wall is playing doll. Somebody just blew me over. Or blew me out and he's playing blah, 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 bend over or something stupid. They're all retarded zombies. Shut up. Just shut up. A lot of them are child molesters, so they want farms of blondes to molest. Look like inside of them. I want every in every universe to see. Wouldn't start early. A lot of the UFOs, by the way, are not actual extraterrestrials. What are they? They are actual aliens. Excuse me, actual terrestrials. They're terrestrials from Earth that have stolen technologies. And some of the alleged flying angels that you've seen, like on YouTube, some of them were just stupid Americans that were trying to be superhuman for my chakras. So, chakra, chest, and they're playing $100 blah, 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 cars, and lots of spining to 1:03, that's the time, p.m., and lots of cars, and and one of them's tried to help me with neighbors, talking with neighbors. I just say with neighbors. That means talking, because I don't have time to write down every, little thing. Now, a lot of people will pretend, because I work at a, but this has been pretended all these 13 years. Like, oh, if you have contact with so-and-so, you love so-and-so, and you've awarded them anything and everything gay. Is that true? No. It just means I'm stuck here, and if I want things, I have to talk to people. They kept me out of the invisible, the very best person who wouldn't take the fall of Satan. And not like I can go to your living room and say, hi, I'm living with you now, I'm invisible. I can go there visibly, but I can't see it. And there's a spirit floating, I don't trust him. In the name of Jesus, I destroy you. And there's a plane. Listen to that zombie. They're all zombies. This, my little seam ripper. Put my sewing. I had quite, actually, at the cottage I had, you know, before I complained about mold, I had quite an extensive household. Lots of stuff in it. I was always acquiring things. I love antiques. One of the favorite games of the zombies, by the way, it's to pretend I didn't like anything or anyone, and therefore they wanted to take everything from me. And they did. Like, oh, she had nothing on her list. She started this favorite list. Well, it was too vast to even continue. I did have lists like, oh, I love England, Ireland, Scotland, Wales. I love Europeans, and I love biblical people. And by the way, people playing different names in the spirit world, they sure have caused, or in the visibles, they've caused a lot of havoc. So if it's someone playing the name of a religion or the name of a country, and they get that person blamed, or are the collection of persons blamed, quite horrible. And I blame the U.S. for like the European Union falling in, and for Iceland's trouble, and for Greeks, and for Syrians' trouble. If not the whole of the Syrians' trouble, at least toward the latter stages. And so, yeah, they might be acting like they're going in and saving you, but they're, you know, gross zombies. Just like the ugly thing, one of them in the walls, it's acting like he's a security guard, but he's really a gang member that takes kickbacks from prostituting women. And a Horus in the wall chanting law. So they're not actually arguing with what I'm saying, they're just pretending it's the law. So you know I'm not crazy. And that is coming from an allegedly empty storage room. Or playing on a deed. They like to play that they have everything legally tied up on a deed, blah, 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 blah. These things in the wall have nothing to do with anything legal except where they've been, such as in prison or jail, and there's deeds that talk about how they're supposed to be supervised, or you know, they're supposed to check in with some zombie, what do you call it, bail bondsman or whoever. That's the only deed these states have legally. They're playing blah, 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 your cereal, yappity yap, sprinkling your cereal. They love to play getting you invisibly, too. Like, oh, we're going to have people not only get you visibly, by the way, I can actually, they did what is called slipping you a Mickey. It's an old word. Drugging. It's happened twice at 2 different locations. One of the places was where I was volunteering. Friends, you know, like people around me, but knowing full well they're human zombies, but where was I to go? And I was resting, and and then I went off to volunteer in the kitchen, something like that. Can't remember the whole circumstance. I do know I came back, and guess what? Can you guess? Well, I had my vitamin water out for quite a time. I'm going to sort some clothes. I had my vitamin water out, and that vitamin water, I drank some of it, and I had what I usually had. I took a little, not a lot, because I can take herbs for pain. I was going to say that, but I got interrupted. I can take catnip or valerian, and it relaxes me, or blue vervain, or there's others too. Well, I don't smoke marijuana. I could. You get a legal license. It's not good for the lungs though if you've got asthma. But anyway, you can do it other ways. But I don't want to wake up here and say, oh, it's still a gross place. I'm in here with the dirt and down and dirty with them because I'm inebriated. Sorry, I can't talk and I'm choking. working on some dusty stuff, what they call it, indie breathers. Oh, I didn't even know I had that. Maybe that'll get washed. Forgot about some stuff I had. Now, by the way, I'm sorting clothes. But anyway, I'll tell you about the Mickey, and then I'll tell you about the clothing. So, oh, they slammed out a huge amount of chest material, and it went where the door was slammed. And it's quite painful. So if you can imagine yourself taking two pieces, they'll purposely aim like they'll have 100 people aiming at one area. And they all act in tandem. One of the monsters is chanting, blah, blah, blah. Blah, blah, blah. Blah, blah, blah. Blah, 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 blah. So, oh, these are too big. I could donate these. Now, I gotta be careful to isolate them so they get in the wash. Glass. Icky. Icky. Should I throw this out? Might be too personal. I think it's staying. It's going. I think it's going. It's a supposedly gray sweater, but I've worn it so many times, and then you wash it with stuff that's red or something. It's not even gray anymore. Get rid of old energies. Old energies. Old energies. Chest eating by bump, and one of the horse is talking to a spirit. And you don't know what kind of monster spirit it is now. And then there's a human zombie, and he's probably doing a pickup. He's in a car. One of the bums is playing Going With Us. Going With Us. So we're going to show everyone who's trying to impress me into a gang. And impress in the words of trying to enslave me, etc. Is it worth keeping? Is it worth keeping? It's quite good. I should have worn it this winter. Maybe I can just not even take it with me. If I move, if they, It's a hard to find a place. Now, what I was going to say is, after the prostitute here tried to tell me I was going to get into a car, there was a dirty cop and a dirty prosecutor, so to say. That doesn't help one with one's moves. Knocks you out of the game for stuff. It certainly knocked me out of the game, even for a transitional Catholic housing where you'd have to share like a room. And ironically enough, I like Catholic things, but guess what? Some of the Catholic services, they are some of the worst places you can imagine, and the worst one. And I don't think you have to be Catholic always to run those places, but those are some of the worst shelters. And I hear some of the scariest stories. And I can remember even when I went to a Catholic university for a while, one of the worst places was some sort of shelter that we were supposed to volunteer at. And it was so horrible that the women who worked there would lock themselves in at night and they wouldn't come out. They had no desire to come out. There was no reason. So I'm taking stuff out of the closet. Oh, now I'm going to tell you a clothing story. I would come back here, and there would be stuff that was faded, or like a couple of them ended up having holes in them after I washed them at a different location. And I don't think it was the dryer or the washer. And what I figured out was, I think the bums here were I think that they were putting in acid on my clothes. And it had like, it looked like, oh, just a hole in the clothes. And, you know, these are clothes that normally would dissolve when you use spray and wash. And that's what was happening. One of them is talking along blah, 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 blah. Blah, 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 blah. Blah, 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 blah. A lot of them aren't arguing, but they're trying to discuss, in their zombie retarded way, their reasoning behind certain illegal acts. Now, remember when I entered this apartment, they probably gave out the keys to all the bums within 3 days. Or they probably had it actually at the signing of the key. Now, some shirts I might donate. Come back, I'll have to put them in a bag. Chest empty, then there's bum, and they're playing donate. So there's a bum chanting donate. So it's like, remember they play alternate too. So as you're doing something legitimately, they, the zombies, are doing something illegitimately, and they have a pretense that you're doing something you're not doing. Oh, and they just my chest and back. Excuse me, after Krista. So you've got bums chanting, and they've entered my intent channel. And so let's say someone's trying to get something done, and they're the only intelligent one left, or the non-zombie, and then there's all these idiots pressing the button with their intent. That's what's happened, and they would turn around and say, "Ha ha, she wanted you to die, ha." Puppet, the unipuppet look, and the bum in the wall, it's a black guy, or is it fatty? Fatty or black guy? Fatty white guy. He's eating and playing, I'm consecrating you, I'm eating your chakra game. And so you can imagine he's one of the defilements, 132 million defilements touching you. And he is one of the defilements. And no, you're not going to get control. What you were given by Satan as a recipe. So you can have, by the way, Satan gave the morons a recipe. Like, oh, if you chew on her chakras, you're consecrating her. If you eat that, oh, and there's a bum in the wall playing, that bitch won't shut up. No, that bitch won't ever shut up, and you can fuck off, bitch. Just shut the hell up. And get the hell out of the shower area of the, or anywhere out of the storage room behind my apartment that wraps around the eastern quadrant of the apartment. I'll donate these tights. I haven't worn them. And if you think you can eat me, that's a sure way to get cancer. And you get cancer from eating anyone in the spirit world as well. I don't even care if it's Satan and you subbed him and you think, oh, I'm such a big man. Nope. Doesn't work on me though. I'm not into blood and guts. They're having a spirit eat me. can get cancer and autoimmune and quick aging. And it's permanent and irrevocable. I'm going to donate some clothing to Elizabeth Gregory. The bum is playing She Won't See Us games. She won't see us. My idea. So he thinks he's, what does he mean by that? He means A, invisible, or B, sneaking around in the wall and then popping out of the janitor's closet on the right-hand side where it says janitor. I call it different names, storage room, janitor. By the way, I have a storeroom, and that's separate. This has nothing to do with me storing stuff. This is a place that is a janitor. Because a moron just making a threat. He's like, blah, 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 you're going to jump into me. Blah, 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 blah. Nobody's going to give in to an ugly black Nazi. Or a fat ass ugly white man that looks like Uncle Fester. Uncle Fester meets zombie apocalypse guy trying to be magician on a different planet in a black hoodie. So I'm going to donate these pants, and you're all going to go to hell, and you have very short lifespan because you're cursed. And if you think you could poison me and then eat me safely, you're very wrong. You've just eaten the most potent radiation you could eat. I made of radiation. See, I face my fear. With my curses, I've even made myself a small atom. Hi. Hi. The water smells not good. It's not very toxic. Now, I'm going to get some, I have to wash the floor because there's glass everywhere. But I'm going to get some items to donate. I'm going to drag some stuff out to the closet. And there's still the head-eating consecration games, you know, they're bums. And so what does that tell you about these bums to me? It just speaks of the fact that they're all retardos and cowards, and they really have no power of their own. And it just sums it up very nicely. Buy 124, car, and lots of chest and head and attempts at consecration. Hi. Hi. I don't look like that. Hi. 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 Oh, I should take vitamins. My stomach is rather... Oh, yes, I just saw that spirit. They're talking about demons, and there was this almost cartoonish cat eye. Now, you might think I'm very odd because I don't seem to get afraid of monsters. You know, they irritate me. And this thing with the sea monsters, I guess I'm going to have to wear all your spines, along with anyone else attacking me. And your nerves. And this is backdated. Why? It's going to get you. Am I a witch? Well, I'm more than a witch. And what would God do to these people? Ask yourselves. Would he let them stand, or would it be a certain little horn blowing? Well, would there be a flood? I do find it very unfair that Kansas and Texas seem to be targeted, but believe me, Washington State has not just targeted other countries. They have targeted other states, and they've targeted people based on strange systems. Let's drink some water. And maybe a snack. What goes good with spiny? And eat your shocker theming. Can you think of anything that goes nicely with spine theming and stuff? Remember, if I eat somebody, I would eat them as a vapor or a foil. Or I'll be the beast, not the devil. But I'm going to eat them to get even. But I'm not into bloody guts. I will absorb what they've taken from me, though. But I'm not a cannibal, and I'm not a vampire. I can't even stand my own nosebleeds. By the way, I have nosebleeds. But remember, everybody calls themselves a warrior that's attacked me. Including the rapist 13 years ago when I reported a meth lab above me. They just took Chet, and the morons in the wall were they're playing police department and container. So I gotta get my garbage bags out. That way I can what's glass and what's not? Well, supposedly all glass. You know. Where's the garbage bag? Where's that garbage bag? Snacks with it. Snacks that go with spine. I'm playing parachute. Parachute. I'm actually hungry for something more solid than snack. What time is it? There was breakfast, but this feels like sort of this time where one should have had lunch. Oh, the enemies. I've got to sterilize the foil because the fat, ugly, white guy bragging he has house-breaking tools, and indeed, I've come back to find the large master locks, not the largest, of course, but they're pretty substantial. They're big, bike locks, and then very professional, nice locks, bleach. Just dropped my foil, it went for a walk. And there's Crash in the car playing. That's zombies, don't worry. I was playing Callan, and somebody just blew up my chest. And the bombs think they're very magical. One of them, I think it was that ugly guy that I showed you. A couple of them, they think they're quite magical if they blow up my chest chakras and then like duplicate or make something out of it. They're not magical. Satan showed them how to do it. And they had trillions of people instructing them that were invisible, or beings rather. And then they also had a lot of visible instruction, whereas I had none. I had to figure out stuff myself. I couldn't even see the invisible at all times. So there went the theory of, or the you know, they call themselves, what is it? Warriors and magicians. One of them is talking about costume and blah, blah, blah. And just be assured he's screwing up history or something else. Don't ever think he would do anything constructive. And even the acts of being supposedly constructive, if they involve hurting me and taking my chakras, that's not constructive. Also, they've made it seem as if it was necessary for the economy to flourish by harm to me. How did some of this start? Well, one of the idiots that took the fall with Satan, he actually was angry I wouldn't sleep with him. And by the way, I think he has a syndrome such as Carolyn Delaney syndrome. And that's one of the things that the morons have done, and including Satan, they promoted the inferiors. And he has a mental age of about 15. But he's in some ways smart, if that makes sense. That's a big roll of foil now that's, insulation. Took a walk. There's a moron going, blah, 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 again, blah, blah, blah. I want to give these people dog poop. Because if you give them dog poop, they're going to say, oh, well, I own all the organic material. I learned long ago you don't. And even, now let me tell you what else will happen. You might give something to a charity. You might have given something used. These bums will say, you gave me every factory of Levi's. From 1945 on, and then maybe they're trading back and forth trying to get, before I don't remember when they were invented, probably 18 something because of the cowboys. But anyway, I'm just making up something, but it's the truth. About how they operate. I'm making up something, but that's the truth. But anyway, that's how things go. I should have prayer. And there have been a lot of chakras. Lots of chakra. And then it has to charge up to, with a camera, especially when it's not plugged in. By one thing, back blow-ups, blood location. So sign off for a bit. I need to have some prayer. And I need to recharge the batteries. They're quite drained. Not all the way, but I need to just sort of look into things. And also, I need to look into websites that would, maybe I'll do that privately, so I'm not looked at by a hidden camera that's illegal. Detected, by the way. Head 134, and they're playing needle and sticking a needle in my head. Now, what's one of the things that the zombies, by the way, do? They like to try to reduce me before a kidnapping attempt, and so you'll actually hear them. Needles, get your legs, spine you, blah, blah, blah. And remember, they're calling themselves warriors, but they want me not to be able to walk or lift my arm in the case of 6 rapists at the 3 big guys, or maybe some big woman with a needle and 3 little guys. Remember, they're calling themselves warriors. But even without the paranormal psi thing going on, that's basically how the gang members operate. It's like, oh, who's, what they can target. Like if they can target you and target anyone who's weaker and who's not corrupt like they are. They love that. They love victimizing. So really, they were imbued with Satanism already before the fall of Satan, I would think. And what percentage would that be? Probably all of them. And there was an EN. And they're playing empty. And one of them said, I claimed wrinkles. I claimed wrinkles. And yesterday, the whore on the wall was saying, erase my wrinkles. So, anyway, I'm going to sign off, and it'll take less energy just to listen to some prayer and on YouTube, in case you're interested ever. It's very nice. Maybe some religious music. But I should let it charge up as well. And there's another human's in the car, and and I will be on later. Bye.